Okay, in this video we shall see array of objects. Now what is an array of object? For example, we already know, you must be knowing what is an array of integer. What is an array? Array is a collection of several elements, like, okay, so similarly we have, just like we have array of integers. Suppose this is an array of integers and it will have several elements. So every element will be type of integer. For example, this element will be 1, this will be 2, this will be 3, so this will be 10, this will be 13, and so on. Every element will be an integer. Similarly, we can have an array of object. Now in this array, every element will be an object. This will be an object of class, this will be an object of class, this will be an object of class, and so on. Okay, so how to create, it can be created in the same way as you create array of integers. For example, how do you create an array? What you do, you write int, then you write the name of array, and then you write the number of elements. In the same way, you can replace this with class name. You have to write student and then array and then 10. Okay, so this is how you will create an array of integers. You will write the class name, then you will write array name, and then number of elements. Next, why do you create okay, next, why do you create an array of integers? Because suppose you want to create several objects, then what you have to do, you have to write the name of objects separately: object 1, object 2, object 3, object, and so on. Now when you are creating an array of object, you can simply create an array and all 10 objects will be created at the same time. So it's much easier to use. That's why you are using an array of objects. Now how do you use an array of objects? Suppose in normal object we were performing these three functions. We were assigning values. Okay, first we were creating the object, then we were assigning values using set function, then we were printing values using get function, then add values using add function. So these tasks we need to perform for array of object. How will we perform these tasks? Let us see now. Suppose this is the class. Okay, so this class we are using, same class, student class we are using. It will have these private variable, then it will have set, get, and add function. This part will be same. Then we will write the member definition of member function. This will be your set function, this will be your get function, this will be your add function. Then when we come to main, how now next come to main. Now when we create an object, we will write in this manner: student array object 10. Okay, so we are creating an array of 10 objects. Now we need to assign values to these objects. Okay, so every object can be accessed. How can you access every element of this array? Let us see. For example, if suppose there are 10 elements and I want to access this object, then I can write array object and then 0. I want to access this element, then I can write array object 1, and so on. Okay, so this is how you can access each element. Now suppose we want to assign values. So we have to use for loop. Why? Because there are 10 elements, so we need to assign value to each element, so we can use for loop. Okay, so I am taking a for loop here, and then I am calling the set function, array object of I dot set. This is how you will call the set function for each element. Okay, so now here I am writing a, b, c. What are these a, b, c? These are the values that you will take input from the user. Cin will take input from user and assign to abc. So earlier I was writing like this: object 1 dot set, and then I was writing 1, 10, 20. Now why can't I do this here? Why don't I write 1, 10, 20 here? Because if I write 1, 10, 20, then all the 10 objects will be assigned same value, 1, 10, 20. Okay, so you can't change that value. So that is why I am using cin function to input values from the user. Okay, so now if I take input, we have to declare these variables abc, then you will take input from user and then you will assign them using set function. Now okay, so always remember that you have to use cin. You will have to take input from user for assigning these values. And second thing, that you cannot write 1, 10, 20, otherwise all the elements will be assigned same value. Next I will print those values, so I have to call the get function. Okay, an object of I means I will be calling this object 10 times. I will be running this loop. The value of I will change 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on, and then uh, each object will be printed. Next you have to call add function. Okay, so now add function will be called, and all the objects, the values will be added. Okay, so what I am doing is, for example, suppose these are 10 objects. Okay, so first I am assigning value to this object using cin, then this object, then this object, then this object. So that will be done using the first for loop. Using the second for loop I am printing value of this object, then I will print value of this object, then this object, then this object, and so on. And then using the third for loop I am printing the sum of these objects, then sum of variables in this object, sum in this object, sum in this object, and so on. So this is what we are doing, and this will be we have done using array and using for loop. Okay, so now let us see how. Okay, so this is very simple how to use array. And next thing is array of object with parameterized constructor. Okay, so this is very important, parameterized constructor. In this example that we have seen now, we have not used any constructor. There is no constructor, there is only set, get, and add function. Now let us come to next example where we will be using an a class with constructor and destructor. So here we have set function, get function, add function, and this is a constructor. This is a constructor. So why is it special? Okay, this is very special because we are using a constructor, then arrays will be created in a different manner. So let us see what is happening now. In this class also we have same student set function, then I am writing the get function. Okay, so I will be using the same code in every example, and then add function, and then this is the constructor I am defining here. This is the constructor. Okay, so now let us come to the main part, creating an array of 10 objects. Okay, so this is our main. Now if I create an object, if I create an array like this, okay, suppose okay, let me write this with let me correct this. Suppose if I am creating an array of object like this, there is a there will be a difference. Okay, earlier in the previous example I have not used any constructor, but here I am using a constructor. Okay, so if you create an array like this, there will be an error. This is wrong. Okay, why? Suppose you are creating one object. How will you create one object? You will have to write student object 1. Now is this correct? If I write it like this? No, this is not correct because we are using a constructor. So you cannot write object, you have to write it like this. Whenever you are using a constructor, you have to pass values. Always remember. So this one is wrong. You cannot write it like this because you are using constructor, so it is mandatory to pass values like this. Okay, similarly you are using an array. So when you are using an array, you have to pass values. You are not passing any values here, so this will be wrong. This will result in an error. Okay, so how can we pass values when we are creating an array? Let us see that now. What you have to do is you have to simply you have to simply do it like this. What you have to do, you have to write it like this, student. Okay, let me erase this one also. Okay, student, and then you will call 1, 10, 20. So what I am doing is I am creating an array of 10 objects, and it has each object has a constructor. So you need to call that constructor. So that is why I am writing it like this. So this is the way to do it. 1, 2, 30, 30. Okay, so how many times I will have to do? I will have to do 10 times. Student 4 something something. Okay, so this is how you will be assigning values. Okay, I hope you understood. Whenever you create an object with constructor, you always pass values to that constructor, to that object. Similarly, when you are creating an array, you have to pass values like this. This is suppose your constructor. You can imagine that this is you are calling your constructor here. You are calling this constructor, you are calling this constructor. Okay, so that is why I have taken this example, creating an array with parameterized constructor, and this is how you will be passing the values. Okay, when you are creating object, it is mandatory to pass the value with constructor. In the last example, we have not passed any values. You will see in this example, we are simply creating an array of object. We are simply creating array with, we are not passing any value because there is no constructor. Okay, but in this example there is a constructor, so you will have to do it like this, otherwise there will be an error. Okay, and then the rest of the part will be same. and then you will print those values. You have assigned the values using constructor. So now you don't have to use set function, no set function needs to be used. Then you will use the get function, and then you will use the add function, and that will be done using for loop. Okay, so that's it. This is how you will be doing. You have created 10 objects, and then you will assign these object values when you are creating it by using constructor, and then you will print the values of these objects one by one. Then you will add the values of these objects one by one. Okay, so that's it for this one. Okay, so let's finish it.